Yo, we just people from the north side. Once the Timmy's hit the shore fine. Winter ready on the four ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on your own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side.
Ladies and gentlemen, your host, your boy George Sakai, here live just after Battle Arts versus Wrestling Revolver. And I'm sitting down with the man, the big dog in the yard. Crash, how are you, brother?
I'm doing good, bro. Yeah, what was that? It's been a long day. Pulled double duty tonight, but I'm doing pretty well after all that, though.
Absolutely. The Battle Royal.
Yep.
Like you said, you pulled double duty.
Mm-hmm.
You had that hoss fight
Yep.
of epic proportions.
Yep.
But then you also had the Battle Royal.
Yep.
How do you go on with facing 20-odd some odd people in one night?
I've been doing this for a long time. I'm in my 13th year of doing this, and there's no real true way to prepare for it mentally. It's just one of those things like you just got to do it. You just got to nothing to do it. No way to do it but to do it. It don't make no sense, but it does.
And it truly makes perfect sense. When we were here, we were doing the pre-show meeting and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Sammy Callahan even mentioned you as a locker room leader, said, if you guys, for particular matches, go see Crash, lean on him for that. Mm-hmm. And I really feel like the youngsters did. When you're kind of developing and putting that match together with the Battle Royal, how important was it for some of these kids made their debut tonight? That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. The biggest thing is make sure they don't let their nerves get the best of them. Because I know what it was like the first time I had my first match. And it wasn't near like this. My first match was in a abandoned movie theater in Martin, Kentucky. None of y'all know where that is, so it doesn't matter. But there was like 20 people in the crowd. I wasn't supposed to wrestle that night. I was still training. And, stuff happens. And I had my first match, and it was a lot of nerves. But whenever I came through that curtain, it was just like, I had that feeling like I was meant to do this. And so that's the biggest thing is making sure these kids don't let their nerves get the best of them, because that excited energy can just get you going and your mind going to like 100 miles a minute, and then it can just ruin everything, or it can actually maybe spark some cool things. You never know. But the best thing is, dude, is to try to keep kind of even keeled, kind of keep that excitement contained until it's ready to burst out. You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense.
Yeah. I get that. That's great. And I'm looking at the roster. I'm looking at the Revolver roster. It was an honor and privilege to call all of your matches tonight. All of you guys are so gifted on so many levels. And I asked, I sat down with BDE earlier. I sat down with Damian Chambers earlier, who's got the best head of hair in the Pro Wrestling Revolver roster. I will say that.
It's pretty great.
I mean, it's silky good. And it's smooth. It's very coiffed.
It takes care of it.
Yeah, it does take care of it. I heard he uses avocado and sage oils and all kinds of stuff.
It sounds about right.
Yeah,
not me.
But I asked both of them, how important is it for Pro Wrestling Revolver is a company that's been around since 2016. Mm-hmm. They we're talking coming on the 10-year anniversary now. When you come into an event like this is your roster is filled with veterans, people who have been around, have seen things, and you come into a student show, and this just puts a spotlight on those students as well as it does you. How important are shows like this? Especially, it would have made a difference if you had something like this early on in your career.
Oh, man, so whenever I first started getting into wrestling, I just stopped playing football. So I needed an outlet, and at first I started doing this as just a hobby, and this is the worst hobby to try to get into. So if you're going to get into it, go all in. Don't half-ass it. Whole-ass the whole thing.
Don't just phone it home, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, exactly. So if I would have had something like this from the very beginning, I would have went even harder at it from the rip. But it took me 3 or 4 years of doing it consistently, on the weekends and everything like that, to really think maybe I can really do this, and really pursue it and try to make it a career and try to get signed on TV, try to travel internationally and sell all the merch, and people wanting to meet me and have me come do signings and do all that stuff, like the superstars we see on TV. It took me probably about 5 years to get like that. But if I would have had something like this whenever I first started, these kids, I don't want to say they're lucky, but they are. But I don't mean that in old head way, if they should have had to do what I went through. No, I don't want them to have to go through some of the stuff that I had to go through early on in my career. Because I dealt with a lot of the old heads that try to keep the young kids down that had a more promising future than they did, because they were upset because they didn't make it.
Yeah.
So I'm all about if I eat, we all eat. Rising tide raises all boats, and that's what I'm all about.
Well,
And that's
love
what
that.
Revolver is all about right now with a show like this. And hopefully we keep doing it.
I would love to do it. I got a chance to, like I said, call so many matches tonight. It was an honor and a privilege. And when I hear words like that, saying I'm all about raising up, you know, I talked, again, to quote Damon Chambers, talked about locker rooms and how you guys are such a cohesive locker room. And you can even see it from the Battle Arts locker room. You got kids that want to soak up knowledge, kids that want to learn, kids that want to be like, hey, listen, what did I do out there that was good or bad? What did you see? And it's not them saying, well, you know, I want you to critique me. It's them asking for that advice. And you talked about those old heads, and we've heard about that from so many podcast interviews. So everyone holding somebody down because they don't want to lose their spot. But like you said, if you eat, everybody eats. When you hear that everyone else in your locker room is in the same mindset as you, it really truly shows the cohesiveness. And that's kind of what you guys preach, right?
And just like that, like we all, like, I'm not worried about losing my spot, because if I lost my spot, that's on me. That means I wasn't doing what I needed to be doing to keep my spot. So if someone is chasing my tail about to take my spot, I need to keep working harder to make sure I keep my spot. So, like I said, people grinding and working hard, it's just making all of us better.
Again, I love the mindset. That's why I love pro wrestling. I like conversations like this, because I can ask the cliche wrestler, so, Crash, you've been in the business for 13 years. What was your favorite match? What was your favorite this? And you know what? I know your history. People know your history. But I want to get into the meat and potatoes and stuff. You talked about, like, the first time banned in movie theater. You weren't even greenlit, but they said, hey, kid, guess what? You're wrestling tonight. So you essentially got greenlit by fire. Now that you're in the business and all that stuff, and you even said when you came through the curtain, you were meant to do this. You knew. And I always ask this question because it's that defining moment question. It's like when you realize what you want to do with the rest of your life. Even if it's a hobby or if it's a full-time job, it's a passion. When you realize what you want to do, that's the coolest thing in the world. When you realize that moment, when you walk down that crowd and you knew this is going to be a part of my life for my entire life. How surreal is it to think back like 13 years ago and be like, fuck, man, I knew 13 years ago what I wanted to do with the rest of my life.
Man, 21-year-old Crash was just from like where I started, just small town kid from Kentucky, to rubbing elbows and doing shows and meeting the people and having the contacts I have in my phone. 21-year-old Crash would have called now Crash a liar. I would have said, you're a damn liar. You're full of shit. That's not true. That's not happening. And I'm like, yeah. It's hard. It's really hard to really truly put it into perspective, because like sometimes this business is like really like tough, and it can wear on your mental health really heavily. And like I dealt with a lot of stuff, like dealing with my injury last year, and that, like, with my style of wrestling, it's really I wasn't for sure if I was gonna be able to come back from that or not. And like I dealt with like a lot of like, can I do it? Can I not do it? Should I just hang it up? You know? And then like I started going to therapy, and then I had some meaningful conversations with some other people that has had serious injuries, like Sammy, like. And like it really put things into perspective, and it kind of like reignited. And then earlier this year I won the Revolver Remix Championship, because before that I was like still kind of in that up in the air, like how long am I gonna keep doing this? And then I won the remix title, and then I started having defense after defense after defense. The first one against Trey Miguel, that one really kind of like put me back in a really good headspace, just because of it was a match that I'd been wanting for years. I'd wrestled Zachary Wentz multiple times by that point. I'd wrestled Myron a few times at that point. Me and Myron kind of came up in the same area in Kentucky, so like we had crossed paths a few times before we both got to Revolver. But then finally getting to wrestle the third member out of the four for the Rascals, and then having the match that we did was just like a breath of fresh air. And then I had a defense against Calvin Tankman in Chicago, and that was like another like, that one was like the real final like punch, like the kick in the ass that I needed to like, what the fuck am I talking about? Like, yeah, I still got plenty in the tank. I'm gonna keep doing this till the wheels fall off. You know what I mean? So like, you're gonna get low whenever you're like doing this, but you can't let that stop you. You can't let it stop you, because the lows are really low, but the highs are so high that it just beats it out no matter what.
And it's a healthy high that you're always consistently chasing.
Yes. And like crazy, like I'm not like people know me. Like if you watch like independent wrestling and stuff like that, but like with the reach that like Revolver is getting and stuff like that now, I'm starting to get recognized like out in public, like in at least in Dayton, Ohio, or if I'm like out in Iowa because we frequent those areas so much. Like I'll be like out at a Casey's, the gas station or whatever, and people are like, "Oh, Crash, what's up, man? Can we get a picture?" Or whatever. Like, "Hey, I loved your last match. Oh, thanks, man." Like it's really cool. Like I'm not just getting recognized at shows. Like it's starting to happen like out in the wild, as they say.
And again, a 21-year-old Crash, if he heard this, he would still think you're a fucking liar, right?
Yeah, yeah. He'd be like, "No, you're still trying to play football, right?" Nah.
Why do you think that? Because I mean, it's such a cliche question to ask. Oh yeah, you're obviously depressed. You know, you're coming down when you get the injury. Why did you have so much doubt? Did you doubt the fact that you could do it, or were you just was it psychosomatic based off of that?
So I've been like playing sports and everything for my entire life. I played football for 12 years. I played basketball for 10. I was like lifting weights and everything like that.
And
throughout that entire time,
before, right?
This was the first major injury I've ever had. I've sat out a couple games when I was a sophomore in high school playing football, but it was never like a serious injury where I needed surgery or anything like that. So like whenever you go for that long, I'm 33 years old, and you go that long without like a truly serious injury, like you bangs and bruises, cuts, stuff like that, but like nothing to where it keeps you out of action for that long, you start to almost feel invincible. Like, nothing can hurt me until it does. And so then it's like, shit, I'm human, which we all are, but it's just like that kind of like that athlete mindset that we all have. Like we all feel superhuman, especially whenever we go through that curtain. But then whenever stuff gets real and bones break and muscles tear, that's whenever you're like, oh, I'm not the indestructible guy that the fans see in the ring out there. So it's a lot, but I'm thankful for like the support system that I had around me to help keep me up, and people like Sammy and people like Damien, just like help keep me going, because they're as big as assholes Damien can be. He's a good dude. He's a good dude. He's a good brother. He works hard. He busts his ass to look the way he does, and he got started in wrestling way later than I did. He's only been in this for about 5 years now, and me and him are really close to the same age. He's actually a couple years older than I am.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. And when I hear stuff like that, it reminds me of the brotherhood, the camaraderie. Mm-hmm. So my final question, this is a big question, because Straight Talk is winding down after 10 years. I'm hanging up the microphone at the end of December. Yeah, and you know what though? It's been a hell of a journey, and I always wanted to sit down with you, and now I can say I have. So that's one of the coolest things. Everyone that's come out of Kentucky from that class has been amazing. Myron's been great. You've been great. I mean, there's so many names I could check off that list of just incredible talents, and you guys are all humble, great people. My final question, kind of a joke question, but it's a serious question, because I feel like men like us, we look like we always have to be strong.
Yeah.
We always have to be, the big tough guys and stuff like that. Do you have a favorite chick flick?
Oh, so many.
Okay, I'll tell you mine.
What's yours?
Walk to Remember. I get weepy-eyed all the time.
Classic.
It's a classic, man.
Classic.
I get weepy all the time.
I love The Notebook.
Okay.
I'm sobbing like a baby by the end of it.
Yeah.
Big time. But that's not the only thing I cry about. I can watch the finale of The Office whenever Erin meets her birth parents. Tears like a baby. The original Pokemon movie when Ash turns to stone and all the Pokemon are crying. I'm crying. I can watch that now and you can catch me like I'm crying like a
Big Bang Theory when Sheldon finally wins the Pulitzer. I'm fucking loving like a baby.
Yes. Young Sheldon whenever his dad passes away.
Oh no.
Me and my girlfriend were bawling like babies, and that one hits a little bit close to home to me because my dad passed away back in 2017, and he's the one that got me into wrestling. He's where I got my love of pro wrestling from. So anytime something like that happens in a movie or a TV show, it just hits extra for me. So, but he's also another reason why I got to keep pushing through this.
Absolutely. And you know what? Dad's upstairs watching. I'm not a big believer in religion or faith, but what I am a big believer in is believing that the people that were always around you in your life, and if they're no longer here, they're your biggest cheerleaders. One of my biggest cheerleaders was my grandfather. I have his name tattooed on my arm. I love that man till the day he died. And he's one of the reasons when I think I can't, he's the one that, and he's old school Italian. So I'm not talking about a kick in the butt. He'll whip the shoe at you.
Yeah.
He's old school. He'll throw the shoe. But whenever I feel like I can't, I can always feel that shoe whizzing by my head.
Yep.
So I know. So I get it. And you know what? Dad is smiling. So take that with you as it goes. But this has been a hell of a conversation. I found out his favorite chick flick, and it's in line with mine. Both Nicholas Sparks movies. We blubber like babies. It's a genuine thing.
I got a longer list than that, but we don't got enough time for all
Yeah,
that.
I don't got enough time for all that. All right, guys. Peace, love, and wrestling. Take care. See you next time.
See you guys.
Peace.
Yo, we just people from the north side. Once the Timmy's hit the shore fine. Winter ready on the four ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on the own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side.